Okay, everybody, today is the day. You asked for it, it's gonna happen. Scotty's Gunworks, here's the tour of the place. He's gonna show you where he does what tools. Let's get rolling, let's go on inside. Alright, we're inside here. Welcome to Scotty's place, and take us on a tour.
Okay, yeah, this is our shop tour video. It shouldn't be a real long one. Everything's pretty much just simply laid out. Right here we're standing in, I guess you'd call the lobby. When a customer, has a gun he wants to have repaired, well, he'll come in here, and I'll have him fill out one of these tags. And it'll have all his information on it, got a little disclaimer sheet there. But anyway, he'll fill out the tags and everything, and I'll look at his ID and all that. And then we'll come from this point to the office where I'll log it in the books. So this right here is where we take the guns in at. I guess what we'll do is we'll just kind of take the folks around in sections.
All right.
Like for instance, if we've got a repair job, I would take the gun. After I diagnose what it is, I'd come over here to the bench. This is where most of the repair jobs are done, and the disassembly for re-bluing and then reassembly for bluing. Kind of done right here in this area right here. As you can see, I got guns on the racks there, going back to where I take them in. What I do is after I get them logged in, I'll find a location out here on one of these racks here, and I'll put it in that location. That way I'll know where everything's at. Organization's the key. And of course in my little bond book back there, I got a little number. It'll carry me right. I can take the book and I go right to the gun, in whatever rack it might be on, and then I can go to the gun, look at the tag, and I can go right to the book where the tag is. That just kind of helps me to stay organized.
Kind of like finding a book in a library. Where
yeah, kind of sort of. It's the same principle, I guess. And then we got, like I said, once I diagnose and figure out what's wrong with the gun, right here's where we'll fix it. Take it apart, do whatever we got to do. Like for instance, if we got some guns that need to be blued. As a matter of fact, today is bluing day, but what I would do is I would bring the gun over here for bluing, and take it all apart. I'll have a box of parts that I'm going to blue and a box of parts that I'm not going to blue, so that way I can kind of keep all that separated.
So you're going to make a lot of customers happy, even though you got the blues.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they make me happy too. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what this right here is all about. And I'm going to kind of go over some things in sections here to kind of show, what all we got here. Try to keep a few things. These are here just sights and, just common things. 1911 parts, things like that. Just sights and stuff, to keep on hand. Got some screws, screw kits and stuff like that up there. And right here we got just different tools for different things.
So I'm going to stop you right here.
Sure.
So I see you've got parts.
Right.
What are some of the most common parts that you would use from this section right here?
Probably sights. Most of the time, I'll be honest, when people like for instance, they want a set of sights on a Glock or something like that, they'll usually already have their sights, and they'll come in and I say, hey, I need you to install these sights on this Glock. I'll have them, lead it. Most of them don't take long to do it on the Glock, but you do have to do some fitting depending on what kind of sight it is. So yeah, most of the time the customer, they'll already have their parts, and they'll just hire me to be the gambler, to fit it on there and make sure it's going to work out right for them. Is kind of how that goes. But I guess most of the common things, the simple jobs would be the sight fitting.
The sights.
Definitely does have to be fitted. You can't just hammer them on there. You don't want to damage anything. But yeah, repair jobs, usually if I diagnose something I need a part, I'll usually order the part, because most of the time I don't have it in stock, so I have to kind of order things. And I think, like I said on the last video, usually eBay's a really good place to get parts nowadays, it seems like. But yeah, as far as, you know, the shop tour and the tools and everything, just kind of got a little layout there. You can kind of see how everything's kind of laid out. Got files up here, got some small files and some big files and medium files, you know, just kind of things laid out, you know, where when I'm doing something that's kind of stressful, I ain't got to go far trying to find the tool that I need. You know, kind of got boxes here of specialty tools. You know, that right there is for a magazine 1911 disassembly rig I got there. And, you know, just got a bunch of different things. Spring presses, just depending on what kind of gun it is I'm working on. Basically is what it all boils down to. Just different things. I took old screwdrivers, you know, made these little parts here. They're little spring compressors and things like that. Brushes over here. Got, you know, different types of punches and stuff like that. I got magnifying glasses here for eyewear, because, you know, sometimes you got to get a really good bird's eye look at things. Got this microscope here, which really helps out a lot. You know, you can use this for looking at serial numbers and stuff. Some guns, you know, just rusted up, you know, and you take and wire brush them and clean them up real good. That way you can get all the proper information, you know, in your books.
So have you ever used that to find small stress or fractures or cracks?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this right here has really come in handy. I got to be honest with you. You know, had a revolver not too long ago, and it kept skipping the cylinder or skipping one of the chambers, and we fooled around with that and fooled around, you know, with a magnifying glass. You couldn't even see it, but you can look at it in this right here, and I can see a burr on one of the little ratchet pieces, you know, on the back of the cylinder there, the ejector part. You know, it's got that little ratchet on, that little hand pushes it. Anyway, it had a bad place in it, and it was just going over it. So, you know, had to replace that, and it did fine, you know. Of course, I found hairline cracks with this right here. Some of the old guns, you know, you get in, they won't bleed and stuff like that. I like to kind of look at them, make sure they're safe, you know. And this right here really helps out a lot. So, yeah. Let's see, got different hammers over there, got different screwdriver tips and different things here, you know, kind of at arm's reach, where I ain't got to search for everything. I kind of got everything kind of sort of memorized.
So I'm going to go ahead and take them. You come in, you give them a tag, log everything in, correct, and then it comes to here where you kind of diagnose and maybe take it apart depending on what you're dealing with, and,
right,
and take a really good look at it. If it requires repairing or maintenance or whatever, and you put it all back together, that also happens here at the end.
Yeah,
this is the kind of the start and finish line right here.
Exactly. You know, if I'm putting a gun together that I done blued and it looks nice, you know, I'll make sure I got plenty of paper towels and pads and nothing I could bump it up against and scratch it, you know, because if you do that, obviously you got to go back and redo it again. But yeah, I'll make sure that it's all assembled and put back together nice, and then we just kind of, you know, call the customer and he's happy usually, and I ain't never had no problems with that. So, and of course I always tell people, you know, if there's anything about it you don't like, let me know, you know. So we want to make sure everybody's happy with what I do here. Yeah, it works out real good. It just basically boils down to being organized. So yeah, and I've got over here, we've got you know, different screwdrivers laid out. Got, you know, here's our screw-in choke tube reamers and things like that, you know, for screw-in choke tubes. I think we've got a video on that. There's different things there you can see. It'll take a long time to try to explain all this stuff. These are headspace gauges. We've got reamers here of different types. Just a little old odd tool there. This right here would be for the like a 1911 bushing. Back in the day, the old military 1911s, they had that little crimp on the grip bushings, and that right there is what that's for. It's a little anvil and everything where you can properly stake them on there. I always just put red Loctite on these days and torque them down. You know, that way if they ever have to be changed, you ain't got to go through all that extra trouble. But sometimes people like the original, so I got a tool set up for that. Then we got tools here, you know, for mounting scopes, making sure everything's good and straight, you know, in your rings and everything lines up. Got the 1 inch, and then we got the 30 millimeters here, you know.
Kind of like a plumb line.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. You just set them down into the scope rings and make sure everything's nice and straight. And if it ain't, then you got lapping tools. You kind of lap that, things like that. So, you know, there's different tools and different things. Usually I keep a lot of these right here around. Those skull cans that somebody gave me years ago. And what these are good for is, you know, when you take the gun apart, you can kind of put all your little parts in there, and that keeps everything. These old plastic shoe boxes, you can get these things at the dollar store and places like that. But yeah, you just kind of, you know, put the parts in there, and I keep this little box here handy for situations like that. Gotta keep that right there. And what we got down here, we got, you know, ratchets and just different tools there for disassembling stocks and forearms.
And I remember the last video you stressed the importance of having a really good vise.
Yeah, really good vise is real important, you know, and you want to make sure you got plenty of pad, got some good pads there for it, and that's what that is, you know, and I've got them, I made all that. And I got set where I can quickly move them and put them out of the way if I need to, depending on whether I need that or not. And just put that back in there, and of course, you know, we got these things like this right here, which I built all this stuff. That just kind of sits down in the vise. You just set your rifle or whatever on it there, you know. I'll use this sometimes in the woodworking area for glass fitting stocks and stuff like that. Just another good holder. So it's really important to be able to hold things, but you don't want to mar the finish. You know, you want to make sure that all that stuff is safe, and you ain't got to worry about messing the finish up or anything like that, you know. Here we got an M1 here that we're going to be doing a little work on. It's having feeding problems. So it's kind of over here being staged, you know, waiting to be worked on. Of course, I'm a one-man show down here, so I just haven't got around to it yet. Kind of one of those deals. And of course, you know, we got all this right here for bending bolts. Got the heat sinks in here, you know, for different mounters and all that right there, which that's what you put your bolt in when you forge it, I guess. And I usually use this vise right here for forging. Of course, this right here comes right off, and I'll just set it all up. I got a torch here, and
so this is kind of an example of the wooden one you just showed us.
Oh yeah,
that you showed us in
right,
that other vise.
yeah,
This is kind of a similar.
Yeah, this right here just sits over here in this area right here, and sometimes I'll use it over here. It just depends. I just set this up a lot of times when I'm bore sighting. You know, this is really good for bore sighting scopes and things like that. Then we got this barrel vise here, you know, for changing barrels on guns. You know, sometimes which I hadn't done it in a long time, but you know, if you build rifles and stuff like that, or if you got a rifle that the barrel's messed up on, it's good to have that. I've got let's see, all kind of barrel bushings and just different things like that, you know, for just whatever barrel you may need. And right over here we got goes along with this, I've got here's AR tools. You know, just different things for AR-15s, you know, whatever needs to be done on them. And then we got different barrel wrenches here for, you know, that right there I think it's for a Coke Python or something like that. I think that's what I used that on last, Coke Python. And we got these right here. These are from Brownells. These are rifle wrenches. Got different heads for that, just depending on what kind of you're taking the barrel off. You know, I made a lot of this stuff, so that's what that's all about. Here's another big heavy-duty barrel wrench for Mausers or whatever, and it really does a great job. Let's see. There's the that's a really good one right there. That's for a Savage, say 110. That's the lock nut wrench. Brownells is where I think I got that. And of course we just got different things here. These are all cheater bars. You know, you get it on there and you can't get it to break loose. Well, you just slip out on there, and that way you got you some leverage. And I've got it mounted on this big heavy table here.
And if anybody's ever worked on a car or tried to get the bolts off the blades underneath their riding mower, you know what a cheater bar is.
Yeah, definitely need that. You know, I got this big heavy steel table. This thing's all metal and it's heavy and it weighs tons. So I've got the barrel vise set on that. So, you know, I ain't never had a barrel yet where I lift the table up trying to break it loose. And it's not tied down to it, it's just sitting there. So it's really heavy. So it's a real good thing for forging boat handles, you know.
Well, if you've used a cheater bar and it hasn't lifted that table up, that's got to be a pretty heavy.
It is. It's a real heavy table. It's got, you can look at it and see it's got, you know, I got this deal right here, which is a barrel crown tool. I got a steady rest on the other end of it there. And you just basically put the barrel through there, you know, and you can custom cut the crowns for rifle barrels or whatever, you know, and that's what this thing's all about.
All right, I'm going to come around the other side there.
That you put in there to make sure you got these different bushes stuff you put in there to make sure that you know, you don't mess the barrel, because usually when I use this right here the gun's got to be re-blued, so I use this right here to, you know, cut the barrel and everything, or cut the crown of the barrel. I've got different things right here that go with that, a cutting tool and all that, and what it does is it precisionally cuts the crown with the bore, so we know it's going to be accurate. It's going to look nice. Then we got a crowning tool here that you just simply put your barrel in a vise over there, and then it just cuts the an 11-degree crown is what this contraption's for. Got different pallets and things like that that you put in there. So got different crowning tools. And I got the lathe back there behind you there that, you know, you can, of course I got to take the barrel off to make that work, to crown the barrel with that, because I can't get the receiver most of the time up into that chuck. So there's just different things here. It just depends on the situation, what you may have to do to make it work.
So those of you who've never seen a lathe, the barrel would go in here and spin around.
Right, yeah, and you got a live center there, you know. It just depends on, you know, what we're going to be doing. In most cases, oh, you can't get the receiver up in there, so you have to take the barrel off, you know. So, of course, there's all kind of little pallets you can get, things like that, you know, for accurately crowning a barrel. And, of course, I've got that stuff. And but, yeah, I've got this thing set up for other jobs. The reason why I got a big bit in it there.
So what is it set up to do right now?
Well, right now I had it set up for boring a piece of wood. I had a round piece of wood in there, and I was making a tool. And so, you know, I had it in there, and I needed it to be precisely drilled down the center. So that's what that's all about, you know.
Awesome.
So yeah, you'll make a lot of different tools and different things when you're doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, you know, like I said, over here, you know, we got all the lathes set up. These are just different things here, you know. And so this area, I guess it's the machining area, I guess is what we'll call this.
All right.
Then we got the jeweling machine right there, which everybody's seen that on previous videos.
So this is the jeweling machine right here.
Yeah, and it's something I built. Now, I think I've explained, it's just an old drill press I had, and I wanted to dedicate that simply for nothing but jeweling. Kind of copied it. I think it was a B-square, I ain't sure, but it was a lot smaller and everything, you know. So basically it's just a U-shaped piece of steel here. Got a magnifying glass on there and took the crank off. That way I can rest my hand on there, you know, while you're jeweling it, as everybody sees on that previous video how that works. But yeah, it works out real good. That way I ain't got to tear the machines down every time I do different jobs. I try to keep everything dedicated for certain things, you know. That's
right.
Another good tip that might help one out that's doing this, getting started or whatever. And then we got this machine over here, which this drill press right here, you know, is set up for nothing but drilling and tapping for sights on rifles or scopes. Got that right there, and then I've got the accessories, and I'll bring them over there. But, yeah, jeweling stuff. He's over here somewhere. But anyway, I've got everything over dedicated in these little boxes right here. These are all the little pallets and stuff that go with this little Foster machine right here. That way I can drill and tap or whatever, you know, and just bring the box over here that's got the tools that go with it. And I kind of got things broke up like that. Because obviously, you know, I mean, I guess I could put a little box here with them on here, but I like to kind of keep everything. I got that drawer system, so I thought, well, I'll just put that into play doing this. So there's our jeweling, or not our jeweling, but our scope mounting pilots and things, tools that we need for that. And over at the jeweling, speaking of jeweling, on the day I'm going to be jeweling the boat, I got another one set up. And that's nothing. That's got the jeweling brushes in it and the rouge that you'd use. Just different things. And I'll just set it over there, you know, whatever I might need. I got all the tools at hand. Just trying to keep everything good and organized.
Alright. So now's the drilling and tapping area.
Yeah, I got a little area here set up, you know, with drill bits and things like that. This is where I do a lot of the drilling and tapping, depending on the situation, as far as, you know, just making tools. Might need to drill and tap a part on a gun or something. I like to do that over here. I got different vices set up for that. Got different taps. I got all mine set up back there. Now I do have the Brownells, which that's all them things came from Brownells. Years ago, I just kind of took them out and organized them and just put them in them little boxes right there, you know, that way I can pull them out, and got a little staging area here or there that I just kind of, you know, set them on, just depending on what kind of hole I'm drilling and tapping, what size it might be.
I remember that Chris did one a long time ago where you drilled and tapped on top of a Heritage Arms Rough Rider little pistol.
Yeah.
So we could put
red dot.
Red dot. Yeah.
I think we made a video on that.
We did. I remember that one.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this. I think at that time I was using this machine right here for that, because I have used this one for drilling and tapping, you know, common jobs and things like that as well. But yeah, I just kind of put this little system set up right here. That way, like I said, if I have any just regular stuff that needs to be drilled and tapped, I got it all set up here, and it's all, you know, set up right here with all these different dies and stuff. So yeah, got my box here with all my different tools in it, you know, micrometers and things like that. Kind of keep all that set up back here in the back. So yeah, the main thing is just staying organized and kind of knowing where everything's at, you know, plenty of lighting. And I apologize for the mess here, you know, I just hadn't had a chance to kind of straighten up things, you know, and that's another tip I'll throw in, you know, it's important to stay organized and stay clean and keep everything picked up. But yeah, sometimes, you know, I get so busy, I just bounce around from area to area, you know, and then I'll try to have me a cleaning day. Of course, as you can see, I hadn't got around to the cleaning day yet, which will probably be coming up soon, because I do need to kind of pick up some stuff and get things back in their place.
And it ain't today, because you already said today's bluing day.
Yeah, today's bluing day. And of course, you know, right here, we got a little milling machine here, and this is where all the milling jobs are done. With the end mill bits. Got everything set up over there. And over there in that blue tray thing, this is where we got milling, different milling bits in here. Just depending on what needs to be done, you know, if we need to, say, make a scope mount or something like that. Kind of got everything set up over here for that. Different parts and stuff here, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's just pretty much a simple layout, just all common sense. And of course, I got a over here, if I have to cut a barrel off, for instance, I got this contraption here set up, which I don't know if did we make a video on this.
I'd have to go back and look.
But anyway, basically what you do is you just put, I got these templates cut out. This one right here would be for a 12 gauge shotgun barrel with a rib on it. And you just poke it through there, you know, and then your saw just basically rests up against it after you get everything all squared up. Got one set up for a 410 double barrel and a 12 gauge double barrel. And that just kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And then you go back, you know, and you crown it. For instance, on these right here, you know, folks want the barrels cut off a little bit so they can have them re-threaded for screw-in choke tubes. You know, basically is how that would work. Fits up in there like so, and you know, then I just cut it off, and then I take it over there and crown it, and then I'll recut it, you know, for the screw-in choke tubes. And I don't never cut any shotgun barrel off any shorter than 20 inches. You know, I think 18 is the legal limit, but I always like to make sure that I give myself plenty of room there to work with in case something goes wrong. You know, which everything is usually really good. And that's one of the things about this right here. Don't have no problems with, you know, just anything really going wrong. Like for instance, if you cut it off 18 inches and then you got to take a little more metal off than you anticipated,
then you're in trouble.
Yeah. So it's just good to just have some policies set up. You know, 18 inches is the legal limit on a shotgun barrel. Last time I checked. So I just don't cut mine off no shorter than 20 inches. And when it comes to rifles, I don't go no shorter than 18 on them, and I think 16 is the legal limit on them. But you know, don't never really have any kind of request for anybody wanting the barrels cut off of a rifle. But yeah, shotgun barrels, you know, things like that, you know, no more than 20 inches is a good rule of thumb to stay by. That way, and we know everybody stay out of trouble. Yeah. So. And then we got this thing right here, which is a barrel straightener. You know, shotgun barrel straightener. Sometimes, you know, you might have a shotgun barrel that's shooting to the left, and you'd be thinking, man, I got everything set up on this. What's the deal? And you look through there, and a lot of times, you know, if it's bent at all, it'll have like instead of a perfect ring in there, to have kind of an oval ring in there. But anyway, that's probably another video. But anyway, basically, you just set it up in here, and you just kind of bend it. You know, with this contraption right here, and it works really good for that. But yeah, that way you ain't got to sit around with a hammer trying to bend it. You know, that right there just kind of precision bends it.
Almost kind of like pipe fitting.
Yeah, basically like that. It's kind of what that is. You know, of course, you don't bend it much. You just right. Enough to get that oval out of it, I guess. And again, you know, it just depends on whatever the situation is. I'm just kind of going over some highlights on all this stuff. Got these books here, and basically what this is, and this will help out somebody who's doing this, they want to stay organized. And what these books are, they're just every tool that I've got in the shop. I've got listed here like a little table of contents, and you know, I got all the instruction sheets. Like this right here would be page 1, page 2, and basically what it boils down to, like for instance this right here would be for putting the barrel liners in. So the way I keep up with that is page 2, I got a little number I'll assign to it, page 2, location 5. Well, that's where all the tools are. This will be location 5. You see I got an L5 right there. Yep. And I'll go over here and I'll look for my drill, and there it is right there, you know, for drilling out barrels for the liners, the 22 liners. Just kind of throw that out there as an example.
So it's kind of a cheat sheet.
Yeah, this right here's just got all the directions, you know, that I've saved through the years. Location 10, box 2, you know, this page 13. That way if I ever sell the shop or, you know, kick the bucket, you know, whoever gets it, they'll kind of know what some of this stuff is for. So, you know.
And for all you older folks, that's kind of like going back into the library to find a book and using the Dewey Decimal System to try and find out where
I guess that might be where I got all that. But yeah, you know, I got these books up here and got 3 volumes there, 3 books, and so like I said, none of these videos are rehearsed, folks. I'm kind of thinking of things as we go. So anyway, you'll notice I got all these boxes up here. That's for when I take I'll have a box for bluing parts and a box for non-bluing parts, and anything you take out you want to put up there in a box in its location. Usually it's where the gun was staged at. That's all section 2 right there, and that's all section 2. It just kind of helps you to stay organized.
Yep. So something comes in,
right,
and you take it all apart, you put all the parts and put it in one of those buckets up there.
Yeah, for example, like for instance, this gun right here. Okay, well, I'm waiting on a part for it. So location 2. So what I'll do is I'll put it up there in location 2, okay? And I'll tag it. I'll put the little tag in there which tells me the parts go to the particular gun. Put that up there, and sometimes I'll put me a little pad on there, with a location number on there. But this is location 2. I know that these parts right here, it says right there for now, them parts right there, I know for a fact they'll go with this gun right here. So what I do, this is all location 2 here. I'll stick the gun right there in location 2, and I'll put the plastic box up here. And I'll even note it on the tag, box of parts. So that way I'll know, hey, this gun ain't got all the parts. Well, automatically I'll look at the tag and I'll think, well, hey, I got a box of parts up here. No wonder they're not in it. So that's just when I took apart, because I'm waiting on parts to come in, maybe something like that.
So if the part came in today, you'd go to right there.
Right.
And know that it's up there.
Yeah.
And then start putting it back together.
Put it back together, and it's the same principle with bluing. You take one apart, you got that plastic box there. Obviously, everything in the plastic box doesn't get blued.
Right.
And everything on the bluing rack, that you'd submerge into the bluing tanks does get blued. So I'd put it in the location that it was in,
And I'll give somebody an example. Say you're going to blue a 1911. And it had the nice wooden grips. Obviously, the wooden grips wouldn't get blued.
Exactly. Yeah, so you
that's
put them in the location where it was at, and that way I can keep track of everything in the shop. Say if you come in, ATF needs to inspect your inventory. All these gunsmith repair jobs. I got that number on there where I can go to the book, and I can either come right out here on the floor and show where the gun is, or I can come out here on the floor and I got this tag right here, Gunsmith Book 2, page 11, line 14, location 2.
And go right to it.
Yeah, and it's wrote in the book that way. That way, that way I can bounce it back and forth, and it just helps me to keep track of everything, so we don't lose anything in here. Like I said, I'm the only one down here, and I got this little nice cage here that keeps everybody on the other side, and it basically is an entrance thing, so nobody can grab a gun and run, which we don't have no problems like that or anything like that. You just can't never be too safe when it comes to all this stuff, especially when I got somebody's family heirloom down here. You
really
can't replace that. Money won't replace that because it's just too many memories, and that's why I want to make sure that everything is safe and got cameras up and sensors and everything else. There's always somebody here 24/7 upstairs. But yeah, like I said, I guess the purpose of this video is help the person out who's doing this kind of work, and they just starting out and they kind of need some tips. Well, hopefully this will help them out. But yeah, you can see all the series of drawers down there. That's all. I got box 17, box 18, box 19. That kind of goes with that book I showed you earlier. I can go right over to the book, and I'll know where everything is at around here. And of course, back in the back there, we'll walk back there to the woodworking area where I do the woodwork.
All right. So next up is woodworking.
Yeah.
All right. All right, follow Scotty to the woodworking section.
Yeah, this here would be the woodworking area right here. This area right here is, like for instance, if I get a gun in, they want the stock and form finished on it, or if they need a stock made or something, this is where all the action is right here. Mostly refinishing these days is all it consists of. Like this gun right here, I'm getting ready to put another coat of True Oil on this one. I probably got about 5 coats on there. So what I'll do is I'll just jig it up in this thing right here, and you ain't got to have this stuff. Let me go ahead and say that you can lay it across your lap and take your 00 steel wool and sand it down just fine. This right here does help though. For me it does. And I'll just knock that sheen off with some 00 steel wool and carry it in there.
Now you said you had 5 coats. 5 coats of what?
True oil.
True oil,
Yeah.
okay.
And what I usually do is, the first coat after it dries, I'll take some 400 grit sandpaper instead of the 00 steel wool, and I'll just kind of go over it, you know, to where it looks like that, kind of a powdery look. And I'll do the whole stock that way, and I'll leave that dust on there. And then I'll put the True Oil in my hand, and then I'll cover it, leaving the dust on there, because what that does, that acts as a grain filler. And I'll do that about 8 times until everything's really smooth at the touch. And then the last finish, I'll usually hit it with 00 steel wool. Roll it off real good, make sure it's good and clean. Then I'll spray it with a polyurethane. If they want a high gloss on it, we'll put the high gloss polyurethane on there, and then after it dries, polish it out with a polishing wheel. I think I've showed that in previous videos. If they want a standard finish on there, we'll just spray it with that, and then it'll dry basically like that right there. I mean, it'll have a really good finish on it. So that's kind of how that's done. But yeah, anyway, that's what this contraption here is all about. And of course, you don't never know what stock you're going to be doing. So I got this right here just full of different little holding things that holds different stocks. And I've made all this stuff, and you know, just different things. That's for a forearm. That there be for a double barrel receiver. You know, when you got your stock on the receiver, and you just, I don't know, maybe you're fixing it or whatever. You know, that right there's a good little tool to have. And we got all this stuff right here. It's a 22 pump, you know, that fits in there. And then of course this thing right here is fully adjustable. You know, got the holes in there. Everybody can kind of see that.
And here's pretty different.
Yeah. So that's what that's all about. And of course I got, you know, sandpaper there, and I got sanding blocks.
So you use your woodworking station to make wooden tools to work on wood.
Yeah, a lot of times you got to do that. It's kind of evolves. Here's for an Ethica Model 37 stock that just pokes down in the front of that, and then you adjust that, and that way it can fit on here. Again, you ain't got to have all this fancy stuff, you know. I have, though, been sanding a stock down, you know, and getting ready to put, say, the last coat on there, and I'll lay it on the bench and I'll sand it and everything. I guess there must have been some, I don't know, debris or something on the bench, and I'll look at the wood and it'd be dented in. So the only way you get that done is to sand it back out, you know. So that's one of the good things about this right here, because there ain't nothing making contact with it.
That's true.
You know, so that's why I like this. That's why I just went ahead and kept it in, incorporate this into it. But yeah, you know, got bandsaw's here. In the early days, I used to make stocks and stuff like that, and I still do. I just have to kind of, you know, pick and choose the jobs now, because I'm just a one-man show, and no circle's gotten kind of big, so I have to kind of basically just stick with finishing wood and re-bluing, you know, nickel plate and things like that. It's kind of what I stay focused on these days, and Cerakoting. Of course, like I said, you know, we got all different kind of machines here for different things, and I apologize for the mess. I need to get in here and sweep up, but yeah, got the saw up there. I think that was a star of the show in one of the videos where I'm making a stock. And I kind of got it up there out of the way, because in here it's like a submarine. You ain't got but so much room, so got that up there, and you can swing on that. I mean, that's up there, buddy. And of course we got a Cerakoting oven here. This is used for Cerakoting and things like that. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. And the Cerakoting stuff is right back here. I usually keep it in this cabinet right here. Like I said, I'm just trying to make a good video showing you the shop layout and maybe helping somebody get organized. That's all our Cerakoting. Got our spray gun in here. I keep all that separate. I use that for nothing but Cerakoting. Obviously, you gotta have good respirators, so we got that.
So if you were to spray that, where would that take place?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, right here. I just hang it up right here in front of this fan here, and
which with the fan's going, so
fan's going. Yeah, I mean, you think, well, it's a dusty area, but believe it or not, it's not. I mean, I've never had no problems with it. It does real good.
So you'd hang it or suspend it from something here, and then spray it, I guess, that way toward the fan.
Well, you have to spray it. I mean, it takes it right out, and you'll notice that big fan hanging up behind you there. See it back there on the wall?
Yep.
From the ceiling. That's usually going as well.
That fan right there.
And when you got your respirator on and all that, you know, I mean, it really ain't bad as it sounds. It just goes right on out there, but no problem. I got a little filter thing out there. And right here, spraying stocks. Got this right here all set up. Basically how it works. Because usually on a stock, I find it's better. I'll let the ground catch that. Use this right here. Then I can just kind of put that on, put the stock in it, and I got another spray gun. And that way I can turn the stock. That way I ain't got to worry about runs, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Of course, I don't have one to demonstrate right now, but that kind of gives you an idea. And again, you ain't got to have all this fancy stuff. It just seems like it works out really good for me doing it this way.
And you don't have to worry about touching it to turn it and getting fingerprints on it. Yeah.
Which you usually got a, like for instance on a long stock, I got a contraption right like that right there to put in it, so that's how I would turn it anyway. You know, so I think we do have some videos where I am spraying a stock and it is horizontal, and it works out good that way too. So I ain't saying you can't do that.
Right.
But for me, it just seems like that I had this right here, and I thought, I'm going to go horizontal with that. And it seems like it just does a lot better job doing it that way. And, of course, you know, this is where I do all the polishing, put the gun glue in, and, you know, polishing work. I think we've seen this on previous videos.
Here's the infamous Scottie polishing wheel.
Polishing wheel.
We've done a lot of videos on that one.
Yeah, and
there's all your polishing wheels up on the wall there.
Got a little camera there where I can kind of watch the front. Of course, I got the air compressor right here.
All right. So now where to?
Yeah, well, of course, over here, right here is where I do a lot of the block sanding too. Let me throw that in. I think I've got a video on block sanding. Of course, we got all these different holding jigs. This is a 1911. There we go. And just kind of, it was in really rough shape. You can see how deep some of them pits was. So I'm just about to get all them out. You know, some of these got to use some common sense with. You know, we don't, which is still plenty thick. So I may do a little more sanding on that. Somebody got a hold of that one before I did, and they kind of rounded some corners off. So I'm just trying to square everything back up. Then we're going to put a matte finish on it and glue it. So that's an original, you know, 1911
oh, wow.
Army issue, yeah.
Wow.
So this is what this area here is all about. And of course right here we got, everybody knows about the nickeling room. This is the nickeling room, right? Gold plate, nickel plate, things like that. Just got my stuff set up in buckets.
All right.
So that's what that's all about. We've got different sandpapers down here and things like that. I think we went over that in that other video that we made. And right here, like I say, today's bluing day. All these guns here are ready to be blued. They're all polished down. And I'm fixing to transfer from here to the bluing area. And we'll go back there and I'll show you.
So this basket here.
Right, everything that's silver is ready for bluing. Now I got a couple back there that I hadn't gotten around to polishing yet, so they're just in their stage.
So all this here and all this here is what you're fixing to do today.
Right, yeah, that'll all be blued today.
All right.
So that's the reason why I got this open and ready to transfer all this stuff. But
so over to the bluing tank we go.
Yeah,
I guess.
we can go in there and kind of look again.
All right, so here you have an example of what?
Yeah, while we're on the subject of the stock refinishing, we'll go back to that conversation again. This is where I hang everything that is got true oil on it. Of course, I'm in the process of, you know, polishing this down for another coat of true oil. So this right here, you want a room that's kind of dust free, and that's what's so good about this place right here. This here is the curing / shipping room, I guess. So. But yeah, all this right here, you know, it's the stuff that's going to have new, that I'm just in the process of putting true oil on. And then once I get all the grains filled, then I will spray it, let it sit in here and cure out.
Now are these ones you have started or haven't gotten to yet, or about to be finished?
Yeah, I didn't start. Yeah, these are here, about another 2 more coats of true oil on this one right here, for instance. And then when it's really smooth at the touch, then I'll spray it with that polyurethane and it'll be a done deal. So yeah, and I've got examples over here too. We'll go in here and I'll look at some finished product right quick.
Alright, so this is an example of what?
Yeah, this is a finished product here. Now you can see that's got a standard finish on it, which is a 22 rifle. And you can see how that's not a real shiny finish, but it's not dull. It's just a standard finish. That's what that is. Same way with this gun right here. It's a standard finish on it. Not shiny, but not dull. I re-blued these two, by the way.
So that got not only the stock redone, but it blued as well.
Here's a 22 here that I redone the stock and the upper piece. And I Cerakoted all the aluminum because we couldn't, you know, blue that. And I blued the barrel and everything. So this one's ready to go as well. So these are just some finished product, you know, that's got the finished wood on there, since we were talking about the wood. There's no Winchester, same principle. You know, and let me throw this into this old Winchester. It's a 94 Winchester. It's an old model. The newer models, when you blue them, a lot of times the receivers turn kind of a plum purple color.
Huh.
And the reason why that is because the way I understand it, they iron plated those receivers. And of course when they start rusting, you know, and you polish that off, then when you blue it, it turns kind of purple. Well, this particular one right here, because it's an old one, it's a solid piece of steel. So you're not going to polish no iron plating off on this one. So that's the reason why some of them turn purple, the way I understand it. And of course we got, you know, the standard finish on the wood. And now,
and just to be clear, you don't charge extra for the purple.
No, I usually try to go up with the customer, that way we'll know what to expect, you know. And here's a high polish, you know, that's got a high polish blue and a high polish on the wood.
Very nice.
So I polish that out, you know, once I spray it with a high polish. And of course here's some, you know, that's I re-blued with a high polish and I jeweled the bolt on that one.
Alright, you can see that right
yeah, it's got
here.
the bolt jeweling. And so yeah, you want to go back with that on that. There we go.
So for the bluing and the jeweling, that's got a lot of work into it.
Yeah, yeah, here's one here, you know, it's got the matte finish on it. Didn't want the bolt jewel on that one, obviously, but
Talking about right here.
yeah, and it's got the matte finish on the bluing as well. So we got that all set up.
So you can get bluing in a matte finish and a high gloss.
Yeah, well, it just, like I said before in the other videos, it just depends on how it's polished out. Matte finish, what you want to do is you want to get all the bad places out of it. That's the first thing you want to do, and then you want to sandblast that. And once you sandblast it, it'll be a matte finish. If you want a real shiny finish, you polish it out like a mirror. Then you blue it and it's like a black chrome. If you want a standard finish, then you'll just, you know, hit it with the polishing wheel and it puts the little scratch patterns on it, I guess, if you will, and then you blue that. So it really depends on how it's going to be, how it's going to turn out is how it's polished. I'll say it that way.
Right.
But yeah, these are just some finished products, just kind of waiting on customers and, you know, things like that. It's kind of what's going on in here. This is the office. I think we made a little video on that at one time.
Yep,
so,
with all the books. Yep.
Yeah, kind of a mess as usual, but I know where everything's at, so that's all that matters.
That's right.
All right, here we are in the bluing room, and I'm just getting set up and getting ready to do some bluing for this day. Then got one of the guns in here that's going to be blued already staged, and I got to bring them other ones in here. But yeah, everybody's seen the videos on all this right here. So anyway, just getting ready to get it all set up and get this bluing done. And I think I've went over everything off the top of my head that I can think of. Of course, you know, if there's any questions, feel free to give me a call. Area code 615-746-9668. Be happy to answer any kind of questions you might have, you know, and if I don't pick up, leave me a message. I'll call you back. But I think that about covers everything. So I guess I better go ahead and end the video and go ahead and get these guns in here and get these ready to blue.
And if you do call and leave a message, be patient. He might be bluing.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to keep. Sometimes it might be the next day, but yeah, I always try to answer all my calls and, you know, get back with folks.
Because you can't, once you start something like this, you can't just drop it and, I mean, you're in it. And
yeah, you definitely want to stay focused and make sure everything gets done. So it's kind of what that all boils down to. So.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate it, and I hope you all viewers enjoyed touring Scotty's place and learning everything you can.
Well, I appreciate everybody watching the videos.
All right, that wraps up our tour of Scotty's shop, which I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps, and I know it's been a long time coming because you saw it here on the Po' Boy Special channel. Okay, everybody, if you like Scotty's videos and more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon.